Welcome to the party.
Topic Thunder, Johnny and the Greg. Dun, 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 dun. You know that Elton song, Benny and the Jets?
Yes, I do. I'm like, are we getting a new theme song?
No. Welcome, everybody, to another, I'm guessing, quarantined Monday.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How's that
Did
going
you
for
go?
you?
It's okay. I mean, I get itchy, and I did leave. Oh, I left the house this morning actually because I know it was so exciting. I had to go into my office because I there was some stuff on my desk that I needed, and I was like, okay. So I went to the office, and there was one guy who I think is in his house, or I think is in his office, and he's got like
Yeah,
a separate office closed off, whatever. And I think he's in his office purely so that he can get away from his home and not work at home.
I get that.
So he's in there, and I even like gave him one of those, and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Yeah, my stuff
Um,
left."
yeah. Well, so speaking of, I'm sure everybody's getting into they're starting to feel that ants that's starting
Yeah.
to build up. And I thought it'd be a good time to bring up a topic that goes through my head a lot, actually. Um, so the topic today are, should zoos exist anymore?
I'm not sure how that relates to the COVID stuff and being trapped, but
Well,
okay, let's talk about that.
I think it adds a perspective in terms of we know what it's like to be cooped up in one place and told
Okay,
you can't go
okay, okay.
anywhere, you
Gotcha.
know,
Um,
or we're getting a better idea.
I thought, well, okay. Couple different takes on that. I think
There's a lot
I'm
of different takes.
well, and at this point when this is recorded, the number one show on Netflix right now is Tiger King.
Hmm?
So I think there's something to be said for like a private zoo versus, I don't even know if public zoo is the word you use, but like a funded, like, I don't know, like Milwaukee County, or because that's funded partially, I think, by the county and different zoological societies, um, versus just one guy that has spent millions of dollars to get a bunch of animals on his property. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. I feel that the one thing that no one's really talking about with the Tiger King was the tigers, like the animals that are in that.
Yeah, it
And
definitely wasn't the main, like that was like the first episode of
right,
like, how do these people get all these exotic animals, but
yeah.
then it was about other stuff.
And I think it's real asinine when you get a guy, I don't care how what's the word I'm looking for? How many doctorates you have or whatever, how much of an expert you think you are because you're allowed to cuddle with these cubs in your bed.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about Doc Antler. I'm talking about all of them. Even Carol Baskin. Like, look, man, like
About who?
Carol Baskin, Joe Exotic, Doc Antler.
Antle. It's Doc Antle,
Antle. Is it Antle?
who's not
Antle,
a,
sorry.
he's a
Okay.
doctor of mystical science.
Right. Yeah. Well, so am I, by the
And
way.
I thought her name was that bitch Carol Baskin.
I think you're right.
It was that bitch Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I,
but who? And you're right. And these people who have no educational background, they're just people that came across money and bought a bunch of exotic animals and
this
kind
is
of
what
made
zoos
a
do.
zoo. Yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of made a zoo out of it.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I was, and we're going to talk about the series now. At the last couple episodes, there's a guy who everybody believes is just a giant con man, and he and another guy are building this multi-million-dollar zoo complex. To me, that at least has the potential of being like a legit zoo. Like, bring in experts, bring in people that have PhDs in animal science and whatnot, bring in vets, not some random homeless guy you wanted to give a job to.
Yeah. It sounds to me like you're okay with zoos as long as it's kind of done the right way.
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
I'm not. I believe it shouldn't be. I believe okay, let me just right now, quarantine, right?
mhm.
Greg, you can't leave your residence. People will drop off food. You get all of your rent paid, all your utilities. Everything's fine. You have nothing to worry about, but you got to stay in your house. And every now and then you get to go out in your backyard for the rest of your existence.
Mhm.
You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like it. And I think we have a real big problem because we have thumbs and because we're forward thinking and because we actually have imagination and we can think of great things. We have this, I heard this great quote. I forgot who said it, but it says, we have all of God's power except the wisdom. Right. And I think that has a lot. I think that's poignant. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially like what makes us think that we know what's best for these animals. You know, I went to when I was in Japan. We lived there for about 6 weeks. Ursula had a work thing in Japan,
Mhm.
and I happened to be unemployed at the time, and so I ended up going to Japan with her. And what happened was we went to the zoo, and Greg, it was the worst zoo I've ever seen.
Right.
It had it had straw on concrete ground for every single exhibit.
Mhm.
The tiger exhibit was a little more greener, but it was all plastic, and these animals looked depressed.
Mhm.
Now you can't sit there and tell me that that's good for them.
And I guess when I'm talking about what, because I don't support that. I don't support like
No, and I'm not saying you
any
do,
kind of
so I
no,
didn't
no,
want to.
no.
Yeah,
So when I say I'm okay with zoos, what I'm talking about is
cream of the
like,
crop.
yeah, like those high end zoos. And I think I've mentioned this before on one of our episodes. Like, so I've been to San Diego. I've been to the San Diego Zoo. I've been to the San Diego Wild Animal Park, which is more open. And
Hmm.
so I've been to both of those. And the last time I was at the San Diego Zoo, I was walking around and I'm like, okay. And it really, really made me appreciate the two zoos that I go to here in Wisconsin, which is the Milwaukee County Zoo and the Henry Vilas Zoo in Madison. Um, Henry Vilas is it's a free zoo, so they don't have quite all of the bells and whistles that Milwaukee or San Diego has. But I remember being in San Diego talking to one of the zookeepers, and
Yeah.
he was just like making conversations, like, "Hey, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from Wisconsin." He's like, "Oh, where around?" I said, like halfway between Madison and Milwaukee. He's like, "Milwaukee has a great zoo." I'm like, I'm walking around here, and I know San Diego Zoo is like one of the big draws of this city.
Hmm.
It's kind of on par with Milwaukee. He's like, "It totally is. You guys have a phenomenal zoo." I'm like, "I didn't know that. I just took it for
Really,
quick." I
that's
guess, yeah,
interesting. I didn't know
yeah.
that either.
You walk around the Milwaukee County Zoo, and I mean, maybe some of the enclosures or whatnot are small by comparison to some places, but they're really well kept. The animals don't look depressed. I mean, it just, I don't know. It was nice. It is nice.
Yeah, I
Not,
think
I think anybody who's anti-zoo would disagree with me, but
yeah, I here and here's the thing. I realize I'm a hypocrite, especially now I have this little girl and we just got done going to the shed. You know, it's the same thing, really.
well,
Um,
that was going to be my next question of like, does it
yeah,
matter on the type of animal?
yeah,
Because fish are fish, and some people like there's a reason in the Little Mermaid, like not all the fish talk, or in a Disney film where the animals are talking, it's usually not the fish talking.
right. No, no, no. But when you have dolphins and you have beluga whales, and um, I just you can't get a big enough space for them.
Right. It's almost
Like dolphins are such an intelligent
Mhm.
species. They're so intelligent we have no idea. And because we have no idea, we don't really consider it because we can't fathom it. It must not be that intelligent. But these things
Soon.
have a language that we don't understand what they're
Mhm.
saying, but they clearly have a hierarchy. They clearly have emotional spectrums. They clearly communicate with each other. And I just don't think you put them in any type of, I don't care how big the pool is. It doesn't matter. That's how I feel.
And that's kind of the piece I think you're hitting on. As soon as you can assign some kind of like emotional piece to it, like a shark, and they have sharks at the shed.
Yeah.
You see them swimming around. You can't tell if they're happy. You can't tell if they're sad. You just assume that they're not anything because they're a shark. I mean, like they don't have an emotional spectrum.
Right.
They're not
That's
feeling
interesting.
anything.
Yeah. I
But
think
a
I
dolphin,
yeah.
you feel like a dolphin has that emotional spectrum, and so then you do feel bad for it.
Right. Yeah. I guess to go back kind of to where your question of like we're talking about fish. I mean, we're also talking about insects. I think they have Madagascar hissing cockroaches at the shed. I could give two craps.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really don't care. I know they also have a giant boa constrictor. He's in a very small space, but I don't care. And maybe that has a lot to do with the fact that it depends on what animals I like versus what animals I don't.
I think that's
So I realize I'm being a hypocrite as I'm talking here, but I think if someone were to say, hey, look, man, you can't straddle the fence. And the reason I'm straddling the fence is for the reasons I've just talked about with the animals, but I want to see my daughter's eyes light up when she sees an animal that if they were no zoos, she'd never see live.
Yeah, exactly.
And if she did see live, most likely we're running away from it. So there's that. But if someone told me, look, man, it's either this way or this way, which way you going? I'm going to no zoos. We don't have the right to cage them. We don't have that right. Now, I understand if there's an American eagle or a bald eagle and one wing is cut off, and like because there's a sanctuary close. Actually, it's a forest preserve. I think it's a forest preserve off of a main street where they had an eagle that only had one wing, a bald eagle.
So they just kept it alive there. And
so I understand that rehabilitation. Was
it kind of a thing where you could still go and look at it, or was it not?
Yeah, you went in there and you looked at it, and it was a cage. I mean, it was a big cage. It's one of the biggest cages I've ever seen. But again, but he couldn't fly.
I kind of have more of a problem with that.
You'd rather have that guy die?
Kind of. I mean,
okay. I mean, that's fair. I understand.
Or not
survival
just have him die, not just have him die. I mean, because that is pure nature. Like if he loses his wing in some kind of natural way, then he dies. But the idea of, well, no, we have this one that lost its wing. You can come see him, and then it turns into almost like a weird kind of freak show. Like, come see.
I can see how you can go that way. I tend to look at it as. I never looked at it as a freak show. I looked at it as, wow, I've never seen an eagle that close. And that's cool. He gets to live out some sort of a life. I guess you're making me think about it more. I'm almost like, wait a minute, man, that's pretty sad. So you kind of changed my mind on that.
There is a lot of, I guess, conservation that can happen because of zoos. I mean, there is that piece where, if you're going to say, let all the rhinos go, well, those rhinos are going to be killed by poachers, which is still very much a thing.
Did you hear what they're doing with that? I'm going to pause you right there. Have you heard what they're doing with that?
Which they, and what are they doing?
It's funny. I don't know who they. I just read as I was skimming through Instagram, I came across something like that where they are painting the rhino's horns pink with a dye that I guess has no effect that they can figure out, but it decreases the value of those horns so nobody touches it, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
We'll see down the line if that pink dye actually does any damage, but I think that's one way that's pretty cool. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, but do you get my point of like, if the only way to see an animal is in a zoo because humans are terrible beings and hunted it to extinction in the wild, I guess I'm all for it, because that's going to be our only way of bringing it back then too. Is if there's some
it's funny
kind
you
of
say that, because I was reading an article to see what I thought, I was doing research today because my first thought, and I know it's a little unfair because I knew the topic, you didn't, but 15% of the thousands of species that are in a zoo are only endangered. I mean, 15% is 15%, and they are endangered, and they do bring them back. But the zoo, I feel the zoo hides behind that, and they say that, like, this is why we're doing it, and that's not necessarily always the case. But you do make a strong point.
I think it depends. I mean, if you're saying like the American black bear, I don't think that's endangered at all because we can still hunt them like around here.
Right.
If you're going to say that we're going to have, 4 black bears that are not like rescued from, circuses or other zoos or whatever, like they went out and captured these black bears and put them in the zoo, which I don't know if that happens anymore. But if that's the case, they're saying that, yes, we have these black bears, they're not endangered, but they bring in people to the zoo and that brings in money so that we can save the other 15%.
Okay.
You think maybe that's
yeah.
thing.
You know what? I don't have like, I realize that this is kind of a gray area because I can see some points and others I can't see. But I don't know. I just, a part of me just says, and especially now with just the idea that we can't even go to the movies. Like we can't I mean, we can go for walks and we can go to the grocery store, but the grocery store is becoming like this. Hey guys, let's go to the grocery store. Like we get to get out and do something.
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's stuck in my head more as this quarantine's happening that, wow, man, imagine being here, having everything you think, or like if aliens came down and put a bubble over your house and they said, hey, we'll take care of you. You just need to keep doing what you're doing. And by the way, the walls around you are going to be glass because we just want to check it out and see what that looks like. I don't think that'd have a positive impact. And I think we're kind of, what does that say about us that we think that, oh, he's fine because he has this big ball that he plays with? Like even LSU. Now, LSU, Louisiana, I love your state. I love the Go Tigers, but you guys keep a tiger called Mike the Tiger in a huge facility all by himself. But still, man, like, no, I just don't think it's right. I'm not saying I have any answers to it either, and I understand I'm being a hypocrite because I will be going to the zoo this summer with my little girl. I will be doing it.
I still ask the question of like, every nature show I've ever watched, tigers live by themselves.
Oh yeah, no. I wasn't saying like because he's by himself, poor guy. I didn't mean it like that.
So I get what you're saying. And I guess I have the back and forth of a little bit of like they're animals. Like
do you believe they have a soul?
No.
You don't. Okay.
Well, you know what? I don't know, is what it comes down to.
I think that's a better answer.
The religious text that I subscribe to is the Bible, and the Bible does not tell me that animals have souls.
Right.
It does tell me that, and this would be the same for the Jewish faith as well, that after the flood, God said, okay, those animals that you just saved, they're going to go forth and multiply, and they're going to make different types of animals. They're going to be scared of you and you can eat them. Oh, okay. So it's I don't honestly put a ton of thought into it. I mean, I have pets, I have fish, I have a dog. I think they're all happy enough. I've never asked my fish, but you know what? When I come up to
I don't think a fish knows. I don't think a fish knows.
But you come up to the tank and they're like, ooh, because they're following you because they know that the big shape brings.
I don't think anybody. The only thing I think people are really standing behind fish are and when I say fish, I'm not including. I'm fish, not mammals, not sea mammals. I'm talking about fish. I think the only people that are complaining about that is like how we're ruining the oceans and the waterways, and we're outsourcing our fishing and things like that.
I don't know.
So I understand that that's a completely different discussion, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I guess on the topic of zoos, I'm okay with them. I mean,
okay.
if they're well run and maintained, and it's a quality place, yeah, I'm good with it.
Right.
These backwater side of the highway kind of places, put the regulations on them. If they don't match up, then no, go away.
Yeah. I certainly understand that. I don't agree. I think it's one of the first topic thunders ever where
We
we don't
finally
agree.
disagreed on something.
Yeah. I think zoos should be extinct. So I think we'll leave it at that.
All right.
So, however you guys feel about who's listening, please comment us on our many platforms and let us know what you guys think. Ready for a fact of the day, sir?
I am.
Oh, everybody, real quick shout out. This coming, let's see, this is dropping next week. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Your birthday's already the week that passed, isn't it, sir?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah, all right. So here is our random fact of the day. And it looks like this is something that is right up your alley. I have nothing to add to this conversation. When asked how her character dealt with the death of her husband, Wash in Serenity, Gina Torres claimed that Zoe was pregnant during the events of the film and having Wash's child was the easiest way to cope.
That was just her take on it.
Yeah, that's what I guess. That's what I guess.
Yeah, what the death of Wash in Firefly was devastating for fans.
Was it?
Of the show? Yeah.
Okay. This is something I've tried to get into. I can't. I don't know why. I've tried Firefly. I can't get into it. So
it's good. I mean, I wouldn't call every episode knocks it out of the park, but enough of them did. And the thing is, we didn't get enough. We got one season. They started to kind of develop the mythology a little bit in the world.
Yeah.
And then it ended. And then they did a movie, which gave us a little bit more. But even at the end of that, you're like, there's so much more we don't know. They have really developed a lot of the world in comic books by Boom Studios, which I actually haven't read any of. But they're there. So go to your library or your local comic shop and you can pick those up.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So we'll end it there. To everybody that's listens, thank you very much. Johnny and the Greg, Topic Thunder, out.